Here's taking a look at some of the fastest muscle cars that hit the road back in the 2000s. Number 10, 2005 Ford Mustang GT, top speed 143 mile per hour. The Ford Mustang got back to its roots as a fast, cool-looking ride, with the fifth generation in 2005. With a body style reminiscent of the GT350, Boss 429, and Mach 1, the fabled pony car also came with some old-school speed that had been missing for years. The base model had an OK 4.0-liter V6, but Mustangs weren't invented to get the base model. In 2005, the Mustang GT was the way to go with the 4.6-liter 3-valve SOHC modular V8 with variable camshaft timing and Tremec TR3650 transmission. This trim also came with a stiffer suspension to better handle the 300 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque it produced. The 2005 GT could go 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4.9 seconds, do a quarter mile in 13.9 seconds, and had a top speed of 143 miles per hour. The 2002 Chevrolet Camaro Z28 SS, 150 mile per hour. The once mighty Chevrolet Camaro had some pretty neutered iterations through the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but got a slight return to glory in the fourth generation. While this generation wasn't the coolest Camaro body style ever, 2002 at least got back to the performance aspect of the iconic muscle car's history. The Camaro Z28 SS 35th Anniversary Edition tried mightily with a hood scoop and racing stripes to cover up the ugly. It also came with a respectable 345 horsepower, 340 pound-feet of torque 5.7 LS1 engine. The 5.4-second 0 to 60 time was nothing to sneeze at, and neither was the 13.5 seconds it could do the quarter mile in or the 150 mile per hour top speed. This was a great stepping-off point for the fifth-generation Camaro that would launch in 2010 and held fans over until the much cooler-looking 2010 ZL550 came out. The 2009 Dodge Challenger RT, 155 mile per hour. The Dodge Challenger was easily one of the most badass rides from the classic muscle car era, but also terribly short-lived, lasting from only 1970 till 74. In their infinite wisdom, Dodge brought the Challenger back to life in 2008 to continue its legacy of badassery. Unlike a lot of other classic muscle car reboots that bear no resemblance to the original, the third-generation Challenger kept the same basic body style of the first gen. The 2009 Challenger RT came with a 5.7-liter Hemi V8 that made 340 horsepower and 390 pound-feet of torque, which was close to the 390 horsepower in a 70 RT with a 446 pack. When it comes to speed, the 09 goes 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds, beating the 70's time of 6 seconds flat. In the quarter mile, the 09 matches the 70 at 13.6 seconds each. Top speed goes to the new gen at 155 mile per hour versus 146 mile per hour for the first gen. The 2007 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500, 155 mile per hour. The Mustang in the 2000s saw many awesome special editions to augment an already successful fifth generation. There was the GT California Special, the 45th Anniversary Edition, and the Mustang Bullet, to pay tribute to the car Steve McQueen drove in the classic film. None, however, had the wow factor or the crazy speed of the 2007 Shelby GT500. The original Shelby GT350 was named so because there were 350 feet separating Shelby's production shop and race shop. The 2007 GT500 was so named because it has a 500 horsepower, 480 pound-feet of torque, supercharged 5.4-liter V8 under the hood. That power made for a 4.5-second 0 to 60 car that could blister a quarter mile in 12.9 seconds. With a top speed of 155, it was one of the fastest Mustangs ever made. Number 6, 2006 Cadillac CTS-V, 163 mile per hour. Cadillac has always been a luxury brand for people who want to be noticed, rolling smoothly down the avenue in style, and really was kind of a pimp ride. In 2004, however, the land yacht plunged into the muscle car waters with the CTS-V. Introduced in 2004, the CTS-V came standard with a 400 horsepower 5.7-liter LS6 V8 engine, but for 2006, it was equipped with a 6.0-liter LS2 motor. The 6-liter made the same horsepower as the 5.7-liter, but produced a wider torque band that made it quicker. The 2006 CTS-V could hit 0 to 60 mile per hour in 5 seconds flat, scorch the quarter mile in 13 seconds flat, and peg the speedometer at 163 mile per hour. Caddy could have played off that old commercial proclaiming this is not your father's Oldsmobile by declaring that the CTS-V was not your pimp's Cadillac. (2006) Dodge Charger SRT8, 165 mile per hour. 2006 marked the return of the Dodge Charger, only as a 4-door sedan instead of the iconic 2-door Super Coupe muscle car of the classic era. No worries. Dodge made sure this reboot was plenty fast and just as cool with big engine options and clever retro trims like the Daytona RT and the Super B. The best of the aughts was, however, the 2006 Charger SRT8. Packing a 6.1-liter Hemi V8, this new-gen Charger produced 425 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque. To put that into perspective, a 1969 Charger RT with a 426 Hemi, which was the greatest muscle car ever, also made 425 horsepower. The new Charger could do 0 to 60 mile per hour in 5.0 seconds, run a quarter mile in 13.4 seconds, and hit top speed at 165 mile per hour. Motor Trend called it the spark that gets a Charger fire going again because outside of the Viper, this car is the quickest highway-legal Dodge ever produced and could close the quarter mile between the elementary school and the grocery store in 13.1 seconds. Just in case the kids were running late for school, the Magnum SRT8 had a top speed of 170 mile per hour to make the bell. (2005) Dodge Magnum SRT8, 170 mile per hour. If a muscle car is supposed to be a 2-door coupe, the 5-door 2005 Magnum was 3 over the limit, but the power Dodge put under the hood made it an exception to the rule. Based on the wild Super 8 Hemi concept car, the pseudo-reintroduction of the Magnum was a seemingly contradictory ride. It was either a four-door hatchback or a station wagon, but it had scary power that nobody taking the kids to soccer practice would ever want or need. The 2005 Magnum SRT-8 had a 6.1-liter Hemi V8 that jacked out 425 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque, which doesn't exactly scream family car, but definitely screams down the road. This weird but oddly cool machine went 0 to 60 miles per hour in 5.1 seconds. – 2008 Dodge Challenger SRT-8, 170 miles per hour. When Dodge relaunched the Challenger in 2008, they took the curious approach of putting out the big dog version first. All 2008 Challengers were SRT with 6.1-liter V8 engines that cranked out a mind-bending 425 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque. It wouldn't be until 2009 that V6 and 5.7-liter Hemi Challengers would be available. It would have been anticlimactic, but the 09 RT was still a fast car that was a little more affordable. The 425 horsepower of the 2008 Challenger SRT-8 matched the output of the 1970 Challenger with a 426 Hemi, so Dodge delivered, making sure the reboot was properly equipped. The third-gen Challenger goes 0 to 60 in 5.1 seconds, destroys a quarter mile in 13.1 seconds, and has a top speed of 170 miles per hour. As it turns out, 2008 was just a stepping stone for the Challenger, which would go on to epic street-legal drag cars in the SRT Hellcat and Demon 170. 2006 Chrysler 300C SRT-8, 173 miles per hour. Chrysler introduced the 300 in 2005 as a luxury sedan to compete with BMW, Lexus, and Infiniti. The automaker wisely figured that there was no point in being luxurious in a sluggish set of wheels, so they offered some mighty engine options like the 5.7-liter Hemi V8, available in a top-level 300C trim package. That wasn't good enough, so they cranked it up a notch for a true performance car. The 2006 300C SRT-8 came with a 6.1-liter Hemi V8 that produced 425 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque. That was sufficient to propel this luxury muscle car from 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds and down a quarter mile at 13.2 seconds with a top speed of 173 miles per hour. Car and Driver loved the 300C STR-8, stating, "It was the kind of performance sedan that we thought America had forgotten how to build," adding the muscle sedan was worth the wait. ...2005 Pontiac GTO, top speed 178 miles per hour. After a 30-year absence, Pontiac brought back the GTO in 2004, albeit in a decidedly less cool package. They did, however, keep the trademark obscene power under the hood as it came standard, with a 5.7-liter LS1 V8. The optional 6-speed manual transmission only added to the quickness of this otherwise unassuming-looking ride. By the way, those who had the dorky 05 GTO as the fastest muscle car of the 2000s on their speed bingo cards just scored. In 2005, Pontiac upped the power to a 6.0-liter LS2 V8, again optional with the 6-speed, that produced 400 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. GM claimed it was a 4.7-second 0 to 60 and 13-second quarter-mile car, but those numbers weren't replicated by the automotive press. Car and Driver got a 4.80 to 60 time, and Motor Trend's test drive fastest quarter-mile run was 13.2 seconds. There is no dispute that the last-gen GOAT can hit 178 miles per hour, though.